Excuse me. I think we can't hear. We can't hear anything from the Gompa.
Here we go. Okay, can you hear me now online? Okay, wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you. So what we want to do, what's so important about, and this is about finding some wholehearted balance in the face of adversity, difficult challenges, things like that. And a lot of people have asked teachers to talk on this, and sorry to break it to you, but we just keep telling you to do the same thing, right? and it's really the same solutions. However, it's really helpful. We hear it, we need to hear it over and over, and there's different systems. So we actually started talking about bodhicitta on Tuesday night. We're going to continue that talk, and I will explain some other things as well. So let's take a moment to bring ourselves present into the space and really to come from a good motivation. So as far as you're balancing yourself for the world right now and whatever challenges you have, we all have a variety of challenges, is get the motivation going, get your mind headed and directed in a positive way. So what happens is we launch into different activities, right, and have no motivation, no intention for it. There's no placement of the mind. And then what happens, and some of you will notice, as soon as you wake up in the morning, I'm just curious, and we've talked about this in past classes here, as soon as you wake up in the morning, anybody, what's going on? What's your experience when you wake up in the morning? Whether you wake up with an alarm or you wake up naturally? What's on me? Okay, coffee. So we have coffee. Rejoice. You rejoice. Fantastic. And thank you. And what's your name? Roy.
Joanne.
And what's your waking?
Just naturally.
Naturally. And what are your waking thoughts? What's going on in the mind?
Nothing.
Nothing going on. Okay, so we've got coffee, we've got rejoicing, we've got nothing. No, but really.
Gratitude, but then the monkey mind.
Okay, so we got gratitude, and then the monkey mind comes in. Okay, very common. Okay, so you got some balance. So the nice thing is, notice how very quickly your energy gets pulled in another direction. You wake up with your agenda for the day, your list, your worries. I got to do that. I got to get, and you have all day for that. So what if we can just use that time? I mentioned Tuesday night, and I've done this a lot of a couple minutes of gratitude, a couple minutes reflection on death and impermanence as you're waking up. Not in a morbid sense of like, this is going to be our last day one day. So if I practice it and think that way, right, I can a little bit orient how would I like my last day to be, right? How would I like to be on my last day? We want to be pleasant. We want to be happy and peaceful, generally, right? So again, I'm directing my energy. I'm directing my awareness. I'm not letting it get pulled in. A lot of you have partners. You have somebody sleeping on the other side of the bed, or you've got kids, or you've got dogs that need to go out and get walked, or you have some medical appointment that day in the morning. You're getting up for the medical appointment or to take someone to a medical appointment. All these things. Again, how do I want to be taking them to a medical appointment? So you can think, okay, I have to do these things today. I have to go to work, deal with this difficult, whatever it is. And I'm going to go with a wholehearted experience to think of the best use of my time with the most positive idea, positive motivation. Okay. And whatever I can do with the activities of my body, speech, and mind, directed in a way that will help me get to a place where I'm unlimited to help all living beings. And so with that motivation, I'm going to go to this medical appointment. I'm going to go to work right now. I'm going to drive on 95 right now. I'm going to eat my breakfast right now, have my shower, like that. Sorry, just okay. So let's take a moment now, and that motivation we reestablish. Any time of the day you're off balance, just you think I had a motivation this morning. Wait, let me just 2 minutes. Remember your motivation. You recenter. You can do it all day long. You recenter. At the end of the day, dedicate whatever positive energy I've created. Okay. May I invest that and dedicate that to my reaching that place to benefit all living beings. And then you can do longer dedications. So let's take a moment, think about our motivation for a moment. Sit quietly. And when you sit, you want to try to extend that spine. You want to sit up straight, not to lean too heavily against the chair. Just lightly close your eyes. Just begin to notice your breath. Can you slow down your breathing a little? Where you are counting 5 to 6 seconds with every inhalation, 5 to 6 seconds with every exhalation. And so already this space is available to you. Just calming and letting go those activities of the day right now to just bring ourselves present here into this room. And as Roy said, rejoicing that you're in this room. So there may have been other things you wanted to do this evening. But this is not long, whether you're home or here. Just get some information on how to open that heart, how to develop that completely open heart, open mind experience. That's what balances you. And let's think about a Mahayana motivation, meaning we're very focused on moving along a path, walking a path where we can become fully enlightened, where we can become Buddha, Sanskrit, fully awake. When you're fully awake, like that with high realizations, you have every ability to help all living beings. And it's the very purpose of your life. And you derive great bliss, happiness, and peace from that work, from that space of mind. Just reflect on that for a moment. So just think if we can get some information this evening that we can fold into our path to enlightenment and use that to benefit all living beings. It's for that purpose. Just think it could be that purpose that you're here this evening. Take a moment right now, set a positive motivation. I'd like you to just consider right now any difficult interaction that you may have had with someone today. Or would you label someone in your life who is difficult or challenging? And I'd just like you to think about this person right now as if they're in the space in front of you, facing you. Think about you were really annoyed with them, really irritated by them. They're always like this. Look across at this person. You can hold them in that position for as long as you like for the rest of your life. How does it feel? How does it holding them in this negative space? I don't like them. They're annoying. They're always like that. Nobody likes them. How does it sit in your mind and in your heart? And does it do anything to minimize their being annoying? Does it affect them at all that you don't like them? That you find them annoying? So continue to look over at them. Now we have to reflect a little more deeply and just think, just as I want to be happy and don't want to suffer, they want to be happy and they don't want to suffer. Do you think they want something different? Just the fundamentals. Just think, say it again in your mind. Just as I want to be happy and don't want to suffer, this person wants the same thing. You have this in common with them now. You both want to be happy. You don't want to suffer. So let's explore a little further. Think about how you often want to be happy, but happiness escapes you. just like this person. How many times also in wanting and pursuing happiness, you thought you were doing the right thing? You had a good intention, but a mistake happened. You made a mistake, just like this person. Just consider this person from that viewpoint. How much they want to be happy, and things don't go well for them again and again. Think of how often you meet with suffering. You yourself, you don't want suffering. Think of how often suffering shows its face to you. Just like this person. They don't want suffering and they meet with suffering again and again. All of these things you have in common with them. Please reflect. And look across at this challenging person. Think about how your mind holds them as concretely, permanently difficult. They're always difficult, we even say. Does everyone find them difficult? Everyone in their lives? We don't know all their friends or their families. So think about how it harms you having this notion that they're permanently, concretely, never changing. They're always like that. What does that do for your mind? And then Buddhism says every being with a mind, with a consciousness, has Buddha nature. Buddha nature. Doesn't mean you're a Buddha. It means you can develop into a Buddha. You have the potential to become fully realized, perfect being. Blissful, peaceful all the time. Motivated to help others all the time. You and this person have the same quality. Both have Buddha nature. Look across at this person with that reflection. And as you look across at them, take a moment to step into their shoes. What would it be like to be them looking back at you? Look out through their eyes. What is it like? What can you imagine to be them in the world? Facing you, irritated. And then return to yourself. You're seated here in the room. Look across at that person and just notice if there's any changes, any shifts. You can thank and acknowledge them in any way before you release them back to the space from where they came. And just return yourself to the room, and slowly, when you're ready, please open your eyes. And we're just going to turn in the gold prayer book to the refuge and bodhicitta prayers. Page 98, if you can share your books or if people have. Thank you. And again, we usually start the teachings with this prayer. Just thinking for a moment about refuge, your support, your protection from more suffering, which is this whole path. Oh, whole path that even helps to teach us how to deal with difficult people. Because that's life in samsara. Thinking about the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, those three jewels of refuge. Can we feel a little bit from our hearts, finding refuge, finding protection there, shelter, whatever understanding you have of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to take refuge, to move along this path, to get awakened. But that's not the end. The real purpose is to benefit all living beings. So with that in mind, let's recite twice in English and once in the Tibetan phonetics. Thank you for whoever's online with the prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan to kicho nam la jan chu bardu dagni kyab suchi dagi chiningi pe so nam ki tro la penchu sangye dru parjo. So line 3, by the merits I create through listening to the Dharma. This is what we do before teachings. In your own practice, okay, it's by the merits I create through generosity, through giving and other perfections. That's in your own practice. Dagijin sogipe sonamki, instead of cho ningipe. So slightly different version of the prayer. Thank you. So the person who asked, I'm not sure if they're here, they asked on Tuesday, someone asked about how do we deal with difficult people? Is that person here? No. They don't come back. That's what happens. No, they ask the question and then they don't return. Are they online? Are you online? No. Okay.
I believe she is. It was Noreen, I believe, the one that made
Noreen, welcome.
and she
Okay, Noreen has a lovely photo of herself, so we don't know if she's in her pajamas or eating dinner. Okay, Noreen. Okay. Anyway, that meditation is a way that helps you deal with difficult people, because what also happens on this path is you need to do meditation to have it go deeper, meaning to dismantle the negative habits we've got. You know, it's not just an intellectual practice. So we do want to read in the books, we want to understand, but you have to meditate so it goes deeper to a different level. And you do the meditations, they're designed to do them over and over and over. And I know that is really boring for people. I get it. Okay, not for Roy. Okay, thank you. I'm glad. And not for everybody. Because when you really start to catch the insight where you notice something starts shifting in your mind, then it gets exciting and then you want to do more of it. But it takes a while, I find, for Westerners to understand how to effectively do analytical meditation, but it's possible. It's possible. So keep at it. You just try your best. So what I just did today is I emailed Rebecca and Don the list I did of it's kind of a like a cheat sheet, we'd say, condensed version of how do you get your practice started. Even if it's started, what are the essential components I need to include in this practice? And what I've done is just given you some links to booklets that are available. This is also Lama Zopa Rinpoche style. So sorry, but that's what I teach from. Is my main teacher, and I find it's an authentic lineage that's been effective for my mind, but I incorporate my own, I make my practice my own. That's what you'll do yourself as well. That's what some of you are already doing. Perfect. So what I'm saying is these are things Rinpoche suggested, and I've anchored in a guru yoga practice. Again, guru yoga, meaning I'm yoking myself to guru. Well, what is guru? That's a scary word for people in the West. Okay. I'm not talking about somebody that's going to take over your mind and give all your money away. And no, not like that. Absolute guru is your inner voice at the deepest level, high level of wisdom, compassion, loving kindness, all the positive qualities at that level. And they'll call it Dharmakaya in Tantra. It's the wisdom that pervades everything. Okay, that's really guru. That's what they mean. So again, teachers will manifest externally, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, like Lama Zopa Rinpoche, manifest externally to remind us of those qualities in ourselves. Because we're separated from those qualities, right? You know, a lot of us have monkey mind, garbage mind, you know, and so many people I meet with and talk with, and they're like, I'm really no good. I can't do anything right. Are you kidding me? You know, it's simply not true. But people cart this around. They cart it around generationally, because that's how their parents were. That's how their grandparents were. So this is about righting ourselves, fixing it up. It's possible for everybody to do it. It's an exciting path. It lights you up, and it takes effort. Sorry to inform you, okay? But it does take effort, but it's the best thing you can do is work on your mind. Okay? And again, so those of you we were asking on Tuesday, how many have been around the Dharma for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? You notice a difference in that time. Some of you have been around longer. There's a difference. But what happens is it's slow increments, but you're making progress. So just keep at it. It's just that steady, step by step, Rinpoche said once, bite-sized chunks. So you're going to take this piece of paper. I gave it, I said bite-sized chunks. I have a couple little emojis there, because it's hard work. So and you're just going to try your best. And some days it's not going to go that well. You go, I don't really have time. I'm tired. I'm sick. I can't really do this practice. Okay. So you do the bare minimum. You at least have some consistency. So what I did is a variety of booklets you can download for free. There's a video on a commentary of how to do a certain Guru Yoga practice. There's other stuff you can connect to on my website if you need a card with the website. But the reason I said it's connected to a YouTube channel. So there's explanation on some of these practices like that. There's some links, but one of the best parts of it is I put a link on there now, added in. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has what's called, I think it's called Life Practice Advice from him. So it repeats some of the things I mentioned with some of the booklets. Repeats, but he's got more things in there. It's a lot of materials that you're going to see it's like 1.5 pages with links, and you slowly and download. If you need to print something out, print it out or put it on your device. But then you want to slowly go through, and you have to make your way through, meaning you start and you say, Monday morning, establish your place. We've already talked about that in other classes. I'm not going to go through all that. Talk to other people here at the center. How do I set up an altar? There's a booklet, how you set it up. So you need to just establish some place, quiet in your house, not trafficked. You can set up a little altar, picture, candle, whatever you like, a place that you're going to do this work. You want it to be comfortable. You don't need anything expensive or elaborate. But it's a place you're going to do your work. How many of you have desks and offices in your home? Place you work. Yeah, that's important. You need to get that chair. You need to get the pillow in the chair. You need to get the right computer stand. How much time did you spend researching all that, looking, and endless? This is the place you're going to do your work on your mind. So make it comfortable. Comfortable cushion, and for me, it became, what's the word? This little comfort protective zone for me. You come home from a bad day at work, challenge at work, right? That's your space. You come home and I could kind of crawl into the space, and you can have a chair. You don't need to sit like this. You have a chair. Okay. But you sit and make it comfortable. You have a shawl, you like that. You have a comfortable feeling like that. Can be an easy chair. Just try not, if you're meditating, you don't want to have a chair where you're like, and then you go to sleep. Let's be realistic, but make it comfortable. And then you sit and you go, what happened at work today? I'm not happy right now. Had a terrible day at work, people say. So this is where I analyze what happened. I look at my mind. I got up this morning, I was really happy, everything. And you want to check. One of the most profound things Rinpoche ever said to me. So Rinpoche took my boyfriend from me. He gave me my boyfriend and then he took him back, right? Many years ago, or before I was a nun. So Rinpoche wanted me to do this job at the center. It was a really big job to run this center in California. And I didn't want to go. I was in San Francisco having a great time, right? And he asked if I go. I knew I had to go. I mean, I just knew in here, this is what I needed to do. It was my decision. He didn't tell me to do anything. I could have said, no, I'm not going. Would have been fine, but I knew for my spiritual practice. And I went, and the day that I moved there, the day that I got there, there was this man. Rinpoche provided him for me. And then we got involved. So he offered this person to me to help me. And he helped me most of the time that I was there. It's brilliant. So it's like, again, you want to step back a little bit from your practice. There's a bigger thing going on than what looks here and now. Okay. So for me, I could have said, well, I look like kind of this hot guy that I met. And no, there was a whole other thing, really. If you're going to do a difficult task on your spiritual path and you have an authentic teacher, guru, and they ask you to do something, or you ask them for advice. So if you're asking a teacher for advice, follow the advice. Don't waste their time. Follow the advice. And I had asked about, I'm moving out of the center. What's next? I'm going to do this and this. And then it took a little longer. And then Rinpoche said, here's what you need. This is what you need to do. It doesn't mean I'm going to like it, but this is somebody with a bigger, expansive view. They've been at this longer than you. I had faith in that. I knew Rinpoche was some good qualities. So off I go to the center. I meet this man. He helps me. He helps me. And then later, we were destined to get ordained. We got ordained together, me and this man. Okay. But again, Rinpoche sets up a whole situation for me to do my work at that center, running the center. I did my practices while I was running the center. It was a more than full-time job, but I was very determined to get in the morning before I got up and went to work. I had a session I was doing. When I came back from work, when I could, I had another session I was doing, working through preliminary practices, as hard as it was. Okay. But it was just about priorities doing. So then things started to happen to ripen for us to get ordained. And then, and why am I telling this story? There's a reason. And he took him back, but I was thinking, why
Practice and how difficult it is.
and establishing the daily practice. And so again, in having that quality of suddenly Rinpoche needed him to be an attendant and taking him back. And but all of these things work in, sorry, I lost that thought, but I'll come back to it at some point. Of building your practice regardless of what shows up. Like the practice was the same. So whatever shows up, now you're going to have your interpretation about it. You know, I wanted to have my boyfriend, my relationship. That was, which was actually small for me. Small thinking in my case. I'll say small thing. Nothing wrong with having a relationship. I'm not saying, but for me, it was like, because of attachment, I was looking through this very tiny little lens. I need to have my boyfriend. And in order to have the boyfriend, it needed to look like this, right? When there was this whole world out there, freedom. Okay, so Rinpoche was kind of like, you can have the boyfriend. He didn't say you can't have the boy, but that was just going to be one trajectory. Or if I decided to kind of progress on, keep going on the path and things, I ended up in robes, and then a whole other world opened up to me, which is actually much better, much happier. And not that he was any bad person, the boyfriend and things. So there's a whole other way you do it, but this is where you're going to do the work. And I could come back and have my place and, continue on that path through all the difficulty and hardship and all the grace and glory and joy. And you get a lot of joy inside, finding meaning in your life. So important, so important. And all of it based in bodhicitta. So I just wanted to say, in dealing with difficult people, that's a meditation you're designed to do over and over and over again. And you can do it with put the person in front of you and do the work. And this is in your place that you're doing. And again, they'll send out the instructions that I have, look at it, but take it piece by piece. You might only look at a couple pages one day, and the next day, another couple pages, and the next day, and after 7 days, that's a lot of pages. Okay. And then you take another week and you go through a little more quickly. And the third week, you're a little bit more familiar, and you're just going to start with one practice at a time. And then you'll add on, you go, I think I have that practice down. I like that. And now I'm going to build into that practice, this practice, slowly adding up. And the practices get faster. You don't need the page anymore. You kind of know this stuff now. That's how it rolls out. But it takes effort, but you can do it. You can do it. So slowly. And that's why just break it down, take it slowly, and then build your Dharma community here. Talk to somebody else. Get a buddy. So I just taught in Raleigh at our Raleigh Center, Kadampa Center, North Carolina, okay, where Venerable Tendrin came from before she came here to be her teacher. And so I was there, and some years ago before COVID, when I taught, we had a buddy system. They wanted to try it where, you meet somebody you didn't know before at the center and exchange contact info, and then you decide how you're going to, what you're going to do for each other. So you decide, like, we're going to read this book together, one couple said. And they weren't couples, they were just people that across the room, I'm looking for, and they met at a break time, exchanged info. So they decided, one set decided they would read a book together that they've been wanting to read, discuss it. They met for coffee. They went through several books. Another one was in the morning, they just wanted to have a text. Are you doing your practice? I did my practice today. How are you doing? So they would have texts through the day or the week to inspire. And they said it was really effective because there were days they didn't want to do their practice. And then they got a text from their buddy. Sometimes they got a text from the buddy saying, kind of struggling today. How are you doing? Oh, I'm great. Here's what you need to do. So some of them, when I just came back now, this was 5 years ago, I think we started. Some of them are still going, and they said it's been really transformative for them. So to find a buddy at the center, make a little deal with them. And it's up to you what you want to do. You say, hey, we're going to do that Discovering Buddhism module, or let's go to Venerable Tendren's next class. Let's do that. Let's do the whole class together. You and I will have a cup of tea before, and we'll go to the class. See what happens. Talk to them about it like that. Make a new friend. Because those Dharma friends for me have been invaluable through your whole Dharma career. Some of them, and you compare stuff, you compare notes, and you do stuff, and they egg you on a little bit. Have you taken this tantric initiation? I don't know. What's that about? I'm kind of interested in this. What do you think? I called the center. They said we can do this. Let's go. Like that. So I just moved from across the country, from California back to the East Coast, with one of my Dharma buddies, okay, a nun who we met in Dharamsala, India, 1990. And so she's done a couple cross-country trips with me, helping me move out to California, back like that. She wasn't happy of me moving back because she lives in California. So, but again, there we were in the car, 7 days together. And what do we talk? We talk a lot of Dharma in the car. Much more interesting, much more worthwhile than blah, 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 like this. So really helpful. And also very helpful. She runs another center. So very helpful at times. She'll call me up when she's kind of down, trying to think of doing this with the center. What do you think? And I'll check in with her. We celebrate, and rejoice at good things that happen to us, Dharma things like that. So it's really helpful. You need that on the path. That's what's so great about centers like this. Really, really helpful. Okay. So that meditation, the beginning is a meditation on equanimity. So we talked about that being the basis for the 2 methods to develop bodhicitta. We started talking about this Tuesday night. 2 main methods once again. And the first method, the open method, is called, that I started explaining last week. What's that called? Anybody?
Seven.
Give me the whole name. What's the whole name? It's 7 points, yes. Thank you. 7-point cause and effect method. You want to understand what you want to get this right. 7-point, thank you. 7-point cause and effect method to develop bodhicitta. Okay, from Master Serlingpa, very open teaching. We can understand. Then there was a second method. We haven't gotten to that yet. What's that called?
Equalizing and exchanging self with others.
Thank you. Okay, tonglen's part of it. Okay, you guys need to do your homework. Come on, okay. Equalizing, exchanging self with others from Master Shantideva, all from the Buddha originally. Okay, 2 methods. That was a secret method. So let's finish 7-point cause and effect method. Okay, we started. They both have a basis of equanimity, equal regard, equal respect. So you're sectioning off this person I don't like. Evaluate them and analyze, please. You have to evaluate and analyze. Okay, and that meditation I found so effective in my mind. Okay, because I'm holding them as other, holding them as separate. Go in there. And I said last week, move in close. Okay, there's a multifaceted being there, and you're not seeing all of them. Are they challenging? Are they having some difficulty? So here's taking it a step further. This is Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Okay, everything comes from the mind. Everything comes from the mind. So it's not out there. It's not that person that's making you suffer. It appears to be like that. And they certainly seem real, and it feels that way. And other people are also experiencing problems with them. And that makes it even more solid. It's your mind. You fix your mind, and those people go away. And actually, you'll become friends with them. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Okay. So we have to fix our mind, dismantle, obviously, the fundamental ignorance that starts all the problem in the first place. So that's equanimity, equal regard. And I was asking you 2 nights ago, and I don't know if anybody remembered or thought about in the last 2 days, how you put people in boxes. You put people in boxes to feel safer. Any examples of the last 2 days? Judgments we hold on people. When I said I would show up, and sometimes I'm traveling overseas, and all of these Dharma networks, we would travel, And then sometimes people you'd meet at different retreats and people go, where are you from? You know, and then I'd say, the United States. Oh, okay. They know all about me because I'm American. And sometimes they didn't like Americans. They'd be like, she's American. They didn't know anything about me. So we do that all the time. We judge based on so many factors. So move in close, especially if you don't like someone. There are qualities, and those are many qualities. Okay, a lot of things you have in common with them, especially Buddha nature. The next level I mentioned because of the beginningless nature of mind in Tibetan Buddhism, mind having no beginning or end. It's a continuum of moments of consciousness, one causing the next, causing the next, causing the next, right? And there's always a subsequent result. And that subsequent result is the cause of the next moment of mind. There's no beginning or end of the mind, is what Tibetan Buddhism says, continuous stream like that. And as a result of that, if you go back and you say, but the first moment of mind was my conception. A lot of people get stuck there. My conception. So your conception is physical and basis that starts this body when sperm and egg come together. We know that. We can prove that. Tibetan Buddhism says, but there's most subtle mind there as well in this experience called the most subtle wind that is physical in nature. Most subtle mind is not physical. It has a unique way of attaching to the most subtle wind that is what allows the fertilization to take place. Again, physical in nature, that allows your body to develop. Again, physical in nature. Most subtle winds like a life force. And we know this in other terminologies. In the Chinese system, qi, they might call it. In the Hindu Ayurvedic system, prana. Tibetan system, lung, wind energies, physical in nature, creates your body. Mind is not physical, so it has a unique way, okay, and it rides along with that form. And so they'll say, so that first moment of mind is there during conception, but Tibetan Buddhism says, but all these other moments of mind had a moment before that caused it. So there's got to be a moment before the mind at conception. And that indicates past life. Something you need to think about and meditate on. Okay? So we have other courses that talk about that. So as a result of that, what Tibetan Buddhism would say is we've had countless lives, countless rebirths. There's always a preceding moment that caused it. Preceding moment that caused it. Close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes for a moment. And just think about that continuum of your consciousness. If you can think about each moment and just look at your thoughts right now. We did this Tuesday night. They don't just come from nowhere. There's moments of mind there. They flow from, that causes those thoughts to arise. Each moment of mind having another moment that caused it, and another moment that caused it, and go back and back and back. Think about all those previous causes in your consciousness. And imagine if it takes you back to a past life, the life before this one. All those moments of mind continuing back, back, and think about the life before that life. Continue back. Think about all those lives and all those dramas, just as dramatic as this life. The families, the jobs, your children, your hopes and fears, your joys. Think about all those past lives. all those lives with a mother. And all the different combinations, potentially, we rotate through. And all the different mothers of those lives. And there's no beginning. Think about it. No beginning to that mind. So think about all the countless mothers you have had. And how the possibility exists that all beings at one time or another have been your mother. Let that sink deep into your mind, deep into your consciousness. Beginningless nature of mind allows for those countless rebirths, countless past lives. Every life you've had a mother. Think about the potential for all beings to have been your mother. So please relax. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. So that is step number 1 in the 7-point cause and effect method to develop bodhicitta. And it's the hardest point to realize. The hardest point to realize is that part. And I remembered why I brought up the point about the old boyfriend. Knew I would come back to that. But when I'm talking about your practice and what I sent out to Rebecca and Dawn to send to you is just a way of getting started, and it doesn't have everything in it, but it has some things. So when I was still a lay person, and my boyfriend became an attendant to Lama Zopa Rinpoche as a lay person. Normally Rinpoche just had monks there, but he needed help. And so my boyfriend was traveling most of the year, and then he would come home and sleep when he would return because he was exhausted, and Rinpoche wasn't sleeping much in those days, and it was a big job. And so we were excited about him being the attendant, and I wanted him to do it, but it was certainly a strain on our relationship. Our relationship shifted, changed dramatically in that time. And so at one point I was really struggling, and that my boyfriend got off and we was with the holy guru, and they were going around the world, and he was meeting all these people, and I was slogging along running the center. And so I was with Rinpoche at one of our centers in California, and we were walking up a hill, and I was discussing about something about, this retreat I had just done the year before, and this was good, and everything was going along well. And then it wasn't going along well. And then Rinpoche just swung to me like really abruptly. I remember him swinging around really forcefully and like almost in my face. And he said, "What changed?" "What changed?" he said. And it was so significant. You have to look at your mind. This was the whole thing. I had to look at what changed. Really go in there. And I went back to my cushion. What really changed? It was all about attachment. to my boyfriend, attachment to all these things I wanted, what my life was like before I went off to do this retreat and took a few months off from the center. I came back, everything was different, right? And I'd done a Vajrasattva retreat at that time, big purification retreat for a couple of months like that. And I remember talking to Venerable Roger, Rinpoche's attendant, and he was asking me something about the retreat and how I was doing now, back in the same job running the center, now that things had changed and my boyfriend was the attendant for them and wasn't with me as much. And he was just saying, how's it going? And I said, well, I think the retreat was really good because I purified my boyfriend right out of my life. But it was really what Rinpoche really wanted to know, what changed. And it was looking at my attachment and expectation. And I had to do the work myself to see what really had changed, which was so significant for me to then use my practice, right, to find how I wanted to go on in a happier way. And I did, by realizing these certain things that were going on, like letting go of certain things, letting go, and things that were small thinking, I'd say. Could have kept my boyfriend there at the center and we would have gone on this, and it was okay, but it wasn't all the stuff that I got to have later being a nun and different life like that. So we often, are quite happy with that everything can stay the same, but it's like a little pocket of something, you don't know. And we talked Tuesday night about freedom, the treasure map, right? We were talking about. Then you can have everything. But I'm kind of going, well, this pond looks good here. This is good enough. And for some people, that's good enough. And this life, that's as far as you're going to get. Some people are off to the treasure over there and it's going to take, but some people stop at the beautiful, turquoise water here. And then you hope that you made enough seeds so you pick up the next life and you carry on from that turquoise pond and you go on a little bit more inspired to get to the treasure. Okay, so we're all different phases, and all you can do is your best. So you just give it your best shot, like that. So think about in your mind what, you're suffering with this person, somebody's doing this to you, and you have this, somebody's doing it to me. You check. Please check. And then also and we have days, some days you start in the morning, you're great, right? Get out of bed, it's going great. And by early afternoon, you're headed way downhill. You have to ask what changed, what happened. We have expectations. I thought this person, samsara. Somebody's going to turn up at work and they didn't get the project done, or they're interrupting what you're doing, or coming here. We were meeting, and then suddenly, and I'm a little bit late, and then first you were a little bit late, then I was a little bit late, but it didn't matter. But suddenly I'm like, okay, I'm going to get there, great, yeah. And then there's a red light, and then the train. And I just went, and you just go, oh, okay, what can you do? This samsara is always gonna get in the way, by the way. In samsara means to cycle. Cyclic existence for ordinary human beings is always in your way, in a negative way. It's a broken situation. Just face that. The train things are always going to be going down. Okay. How's my mind? I was like, okay, well, I'm okay. Because then I went around the next corner and there was an accident. And that wasn't me. Could have been me, but suddenly I went, well, I'm not having it, thank you. Sorry for these people, but that's not me, right? You hope not. But again, all this stuff shows up in samsara. This is what it's like. Whether it's wars, whether you get sick, which I hope you don't, whether your kid is struggling, whether your partner's struggling, you don't like your job, you don't have enough money to retire. It's endless in samsara. So why not work on your mind? It's always going to be endless. It's relentless, samsara. Never going to get fixed. So it's something to think about. And then along the way, we want to have the good heart experience. So let's go on 7-point cause and effect. The next point, I mentioned the next two quickly last on Tuesday night, is the next point is remembering the kindness of your mother. And the third point is repaying the kindness. Okay. Now, remembering the kindness of your mother, you may not have had a kind mother this life. You may not have even known your mother of this life. You may not have liked your mother of this life. They may have been mentally ill or drug addicted or whatever. We all have different things. Think of someone else in your life that you have that respect for, a mentor, a grandparent, your father, somebody like that showed you unconditional love, like that. So think of the kindness. Think of the sacrifices. Parents make incredible sacrifices. There's nothing quite like that mother love when they get it right. There's nothing quite like the mother love. And they never get it perfectly right because this is samsara and we're human beings. And human nature means we're flawed. We're never going to get it perfectly right, but we're going for Buddhahood. And that could be everybody in this room. Don't feel like you're separate. Well, I have some friends, they go, I don't know about Buddhahood. Well, know about it. Know about it so it inspires you. You may not get there this life, but you're going to plant the seeds that get you another good rotation so I can get a little closer next life and a little closer the life after that and a little closer. Don't feel, I have some friends, I'll never get Buddhahood. I don't know about that. I just want to read this book right now. Well, that's good, but still have the goal. Still think about, I want to be perfect one day. But mainly, I don't want to just get there. I want to get there because then I can really help. Can really help. Like my life, I just want to help people. That's how I feel. I think many of you feel the same way. So people come to me a lot. I have a problem. I want to talk to you. There's people, and some people are really struggling right now. And I'm limited in what I know what to say to them because I don't have an omniscient consciousness. So I want that omniscient consciousness. I really want it because then I know I can really help. Right now, I try to help at my level. We all try to help. But omniscient consciousness, the other thing you get along with omniscient consciousness is the Buddha mind, the omniscient consciousness, all-knowing consciousness, so vast, so pure, so expansive, you can emanate multiple bodies from that mind. Don't you want that? Multiple bodies, right? I'm overscheduled. So I've got one body that, you wanted me to come for 3 weeks. I'm here for a month. Thubten Kunga Center, I got one body here for a month. I've got one body that's going to the other centers, one body that's doing retreat, one body that's hanging with Rinpoche's sister and helping her and actually working there because I really want to do retreat at Laudo. I don't want to work there because I need to do retreat, but you get kind of pulled in. One body that can just be there like that. One body going to Hawaii, right? Laying on the beach. I mean, you know what I'm saying is you can just, one body that is there to caretake your parents, take care of your kids or whatever. You can do that as a Buddha. That's what you do. Every moment, just thinking, anticipating whatever people need. And you glean so much happiness from that, so much bliss from that. Like that. Okay, so think about the kindness. And all of these are designed to do in a meditation. Okay, so just like we did the first one, you think about those past lives. It's a possibility I had these past lives, past moments of my consciousness, all those lives, and like a sea stretching out all the way back. It's inconceivable, but every life I've had a mother. Okay, so slowly, each meditation is designed to do slowly over and over to grow this heart open. Think about their kindness. Step number 2, think about the kindness. Brings tears to my eyes, my mother's kindness. Was she perfect? She wasn't perfect. She was a great mother, but what she did, I mean, sometimes unbelievable sacrifices she made for me, And, little kids, and they come in and they throw up all over their mother. And then I'm sick, Mom, and then they throw up over all these things. She'd get up, she'd change the sheets again, get the cool washcloth, put it on my head. They're just never stops like that. Then dealing with adult children that are struggling. Adult children that went through a horrible custody battle. Adult children that are having trouble with substance abuse. Adult children struggling financially. They never stop. Never stop like that. And then we think about number 3, how do you want to repay the kindness? For my parents, I can't pay them back. Okay. But I certainly tried. And you can visualize in meditation, you visualize all the things you might want to do to repay the kindness, whether it's fantasy stuff or whether, and slowly, how can I repay the kindness? They have certain things traditionally in the Lam Rim. If your old blind mother was at the top of a cliff, ready to go over the edge, you would run over to save them like that. But you can think about things we actually did in my family in actuality, where I would think of my first meeting with Lama Zopa Rinpoche, first meeting at Kopan. I got an interview after my first course, 10-day course. I wasn't a Buddhist, didn't know anything much at all. I wasn't going to be a Buddhist, but I got a meeting and asked about how do you help people and how do you spontaneously manifest loving kindness. But somehow And Rinpoche was known in those days in an interview to go into meditation for like an hour. Like you're in an interview and you're, and because I was new, I didn't know anything about Buddhism and what people do and what respect or what you're supposed to do. But in the middle of this interview, after we had talked a little bit, I asked this question about how do you spontaneously manifest loving kindness for others. I felt, sometimes I'd be going to work on the bus and I would get on the bus early, get a seat, have my book, and I got a good seat on the bus and like that. And then somebody would get on, like somebody older that looked like they needed the seat. But I'd be like, should I give them my seat? Is there anybody else going to give them the seat? Like, I just wanted to get up and give the seat wholeheartedly. But I didn't often think that way. I'd kind of be like, I guess I should give up my seat. And I'd get up. But I felt like Rinpoche knew something about that, just from the teachings we had had a little bit with him. So I asked this question, and then after we've been talking for a while, and then he suddenly sits back across this table. I think I told this story before. No? Anyway, and he sits back across the table and closes his eyes. And I don't know, he's just, 5 minutes go by. I'm like, like, I didn't, but fortunately I had heard that he goes off into meditation for a while. So I was, I'm like, but I'm very uncomfortable now. I'm like, will they come in and get me? Is he going to get to me? Is it over? Is the interview over? Is this it? Like, I didn't say anything. I'm just sitting there with, this is my monkey mind. Is it over? Should I tap him? Should I, like can you imagine?
Yes.
I'm going out of my skin. I'm like so nervous. And because I felt it somehow when you're around purity, felt like he was very pure when I met him. So all your stuff is there. All your gunk is in your face. That's how I felt. So now I'm like, I don't know. Are they going to come get me? Will I know? So then I fortunately had this idea. I'll meditate. I didn't know anything about meditation, but I closed my eyes. Whatever I learned in the course. So what happens is this repaying the kindness. All of a sudden, what jumps into my head is, what would you do if you had $1 million? It's a game my sister and brother we used to play as kids. Not real. We didn't really aspire to have money. It wasn't that important. But like shopping, what could we? And I'm buying stuff for my family. Like I'm going to get my mom this house she wanted, and I get the thing, and that might get my dad that car that he wanted, and it's a fantasy. I'm having repaying the kindnesses like that. Just think about what you could do, and then take action. I remember I'd have these thoughts for my parents, and then the time came, and I mentioned, one time I was home and I realized the washer's broken. And I was looking at the way my mom was washing. I was like, well, what's wrong? She goes, well, it's kind of broken and we haven't gotten it fixed yet. And I said to my sister and brother, let's get them a new washer and dryer. Let's get them. My father wanted this color printer when they first came out. Let's get him a color printer for his birthday. Repaying the kindness, but just your kindness, your care to them, you're spending time with them. Parents love nothing more, usually, spending time with their kids, doing kind things. And then some of you, as your parents get older, caregiving them. Taking care of them in the way they'd like to be taken care of, reassuring them, letting them know you can do that. It's a great offering to make to them. It's not always possible for everyone, but you try. It's an incredible gift to give them, right? So I'm sitting with Rinpoche. I'm in this fantasy. I don't know how much those 10 minutes go by. I don't know. But anyway, suddenly I realize I'm aware. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm spacing out this fantasy. People are waiting to see Rinpoche, and I'm playing this game. And I open my eyes, and I go back in my question of how do you spontaneously manifest loving kindness towards others? I look across at Rinpoche. He opens his eyes. He leans into me, and he says, it's not enough to wish for $1 million for your family, is it? Just like that, right? But very calm to show me. I really think he was showing me what your mind is capable of doing. Like he clearly, and I'd heard he was clairvoyant, and he just read my mind, and I was a little bit like, okay, like I heard about this, but showing you, because your mind, you can be that, you can develop that yourself. So I think he was trying to get my attention a little more strongly because I'm so stubborn and I'm so dense. And I would have just walked right out and walked right off and never come back. And so it was really helpful, effective because I was so intrigued by him of, okay, so he's clairvoyant, he read my mind. So what else can he do? What else is he, so I kept kind of checking back and checking back. It's very good to check on your teachers. Are they walking the talk? Are they authentic? Don't just grab some teacher. Everybody's following this person. I guess I'll follow. No, make sure this is the right lineage. This comes from something that's going to get you free, like that. So think about repaying the kindness. Fourth step, we're going to turn the tables a bit and think about viewing children as if beings as if they were your children now. This is huge loving kindness. This huge experience of love, the way you feel about your kids. All you want is for them to be happy. All you want is for them to be happy. So viewing sentient beings in meditation, think of all living beings. Take your difficult person. Kids are difficult at times, right? And there's kids when they're young kids, you always have that saying when they're young kids, like, I always love you. I don't like you right now based on your behavior, but I always will love you. Sentient beings are like that. People are struggling along, just like kids. And we don't know any better because we don't have a direct perception of emptiness. Because we're not encountering and engaging with reality accurately, we make mistakes, just like kids. We don't know any better. But when someone's an adult, we go, well, they should know. But people don't know. That's where war comes from. Fundamental ignorance, unfortunately. So then you turn the tide about this great unconditional love. And the next step is something called maha karuna, great compassion. Great compassion. So great compassion, different than unconditional love. Love is wanting others to be happy, but great compassion is wanting them to be free from suffering. So then you think about all these living beings. You could take one person, you can take more people, and just think. And I think about, for instance, like, it's not just Ukraine, okay? I think about Putin. If he were free of suffering, there wouldn't be any war if he didn't suffer, right? And you can name all the things he suffers from and judge him and all that, but if he wasn't, I wish him freedom from suffering, right? Because there wouldn't be any, he wouldn't have invaded, right? The whole Israel-Gaza thing and all that, the different people, if they weren't suffering, there wouldn't be any Hamas that was undermining this. There wouldn't be Netanyahu who's trying to destroy these people, and wouldn't be any hatred like that for generations like that in that region, generations. Sometimes His Holiness says, related to the Middle East over the years, we asked him this years ago, and he said, sometimes the karma is so strong, you just have to let it burn out. But it hasn't burned out yet over there. Just another little major flare-up again. Horrible. Both sides. Horrible. And then you're going to end up, because of the children there on both sides, so now you're going to end up with 60, 70, 80 years of unhealed trauma that just perpetuates the cycle, unfortunately. Okay. What? I can't fix that, right? I can certainly engage at my baby level to volunteer for an organization that's helping. I can give money to an organization that's helping. I can write letters to my Congress people to do this. I can go to protests if I believe in that. I can sign up for this, and I can pray. I can participate in interfaith meetings so that we learn peacefully how to get along with other people. Mainly work on your mind. Dismantle the hostility in your mind. Get a direct perception of emptiness. That dismantles it all the negative stuff. Okay, Mahakaruna. The next step is universal responsibility. This altruistic, huge altruistic intention. Again, 7-point cause and effect. This is the last step before we develop bodhicitta. So this is me in my life saying, I can't fix everything, but I'm going to take responsibility to walk a line, to move along a path, okay, where I'm going to devote myself as much as I can with the activities of my body, speech, and mind, okay, towards something that is going to get me on this path that will help me reach a place where I'm unlimited in benefiting all living people. And I dedicate my life to that. That's what I'm going to be doing as much as I can. Right. And you're going to do that, right? I just saw her go, like, that's hard. You can do it. You can do it. But just this is a mindset too. Like I'm gonna, and you're gonna encounter this many times in your life. You'll encounter this many times in your life where you want to give up. This is too much. And again, you wake up another day and you go, I'm gonna do the best I can. Just gonna do the best I can. Right? Why? Because I dedicated myself to it. I'm committed. I'm committed. And not every day is going to go well. That's okay. That's life in samsara. That's why you get your dharma, your buddy, your friends, people that best support you. Like that. The practices that best support you. And this results in bodhicitta. 7-point cause and effect method. Right? This is our buoyant cushion. Okay. And then when we come to the secret method, equalizing, exchanging self with others, again on a basis of equanimity. So check in with yourself about who you're judging, who you need to compartmentalize and put in a box. You know, who do you keep in the shadow and who is in the light for you? Did you ever notice that of people that don't get your full attention? I've noticed this in office dynamics. I've noticed this in restaurants. When you come into a restaurant, the way certain people act with certain people in a restaurant. You know, we often don't see the people clearing the tables, but you're a little bit more focused sometimes on your server. Maybe not. You know, if the manager's there, a little bit more, maybe if they come over to, it's interesting, different things I notice. People. All kinds of things. Your post person, the person that collects garbage in your area, the person that cleans your building, that cleans your office, the leaf blower, and well, the leaf blower where I live. My neighbor Jeff, I love him. Yeah, we have a joke in our neighborhood. They moved in about 5 years ago. Wonderful family. They live next door. It's Philadelphia. They live next door, but over exuberance with the leaf blower. You know, and leaf blowers, you know how noisy they are? So at one point, and it should be autumn, is when the leaves fall. We have a lot of leaves on the property, trees. When the leaves fall, and one night he must have been out there for like an hour and 15 minutes. At 9 o'clock at night, where it's dark, my neighbor across the street calls and says on the phone, I hear this voice, "What is he doing over there?" Right? Exuberance. That's my neighbor. Anyway, so funny. Okay, so equanimity. So it's very helpful to check your own mind of like that, where you're positioning people, you know, and see if you can equalize it. See if you can state, like realizing, bringing everybody into a present thing, and you're present with people as much as you can be. And what happens is we're racing through life and we're busy. So that's where some offhand remarks go. I don't pay attention. I'm too busy. And I'm really trying to slow things down in my life so I can like see everybody and acknowledge, like, great. I can't do it all the time, but I try as much as I can. Okay. And then building on this, you've got 2 steps that go together here. This is again, equalizing, exchanging self with others. One would be to reflect on all the negative ramifications of cherishing yourself. And the next one is all the advantages of cherishing others. Okay. So, I mean, they're pretty understandable. Cherishing yourself, you look yourself at your mind when you're not happy, when something's not working well in your life. So please, and you really have to take it back. So I would come home from work. I was working at a magazine once, and there were, 30 strong personalities at this magazine, especially the heads of departments. And I came home and like rattled by one of them. I had to do a project, but they were very intimidating. And I was the new person there. So I'd come home full of the tension of, I'm going to do this project. I don't think he likes me. I have to do this. I saw that he was yelling at somebody else, and he's really big and he's imposing. And all these stories start circulating, and I'm constructing a kind of monster where there's no monster. He's just a coworker. But our minds build up these different things about, they're not accurate. So that's where you're going to do your work, where I'd come home and then I'd be able to sit, and I had a little sitting place, my little safety place. And I'd sit down. I didn't know how to meditate, but I made the space. And so I started sitting there, and I liked it. And I'd have a little Dharma book, and sometimes I'd read a couple pages, come home from work. I was going to go out with my friends later, but I have a little half an hour, and I'd use that space. And then I started thinking about him. you know, and then I realized, wow, it's my self-cherishing that, you know, I want people to think I'm good at this job, and I want to be noticed, that then, and I want everyone to like me at the job, and I want to, you know, that wasn't really what was important. You know, the job had a good purpose for it of what we were working for with the magazine. It was a political magazine, so good purpose. So if I just focused on doing my job well, all those things went away, and helping my coworkers, then I wasn't very disturbed at all. But as soon as I was thinking about what they thought about me and how I needed to do this and I needed this from the job and I wanted that, and then I was miserable. So look at yourself cherishing and you see so many negative impacts of it. So it's actual, in the traditional Lamrim, it takes you through different steps that you, what are all those negative things about self-cherishing, and what are, and the opposite, the positive things about all the bliss is cherishing others like that. And Margaret and I've been talking because I'm staying with Margaret. She's very kindly taken me into her home, and now I'm like rearranging her entire life. She'll be really happy when I'm gone. I'm like, and you know what you need to do? And we've been having a nice time. I mean, I've been having a nice time. I've been getting right gems of wisdom. Thank you. I don't know if they're gems, but it's been sweet. So and something I forget what we were talking about, we were talking about the things that older people talk about is like retirement and this and, you know, whatever, and just saying, and you know, I was saying to her, there's not a lot of support for Western nuns and all this, and we, you know, we don't have a nunnery in North America that's FPMT nunnery, and but she goes, oh, but you're okay, and you know, then I said, both of us said, you know, if we just think about, I'm just going to keep helping people. I don't really want to. I mean, what's the point of worrying about it? That's not going to get it fixed. It's right. But if I keep helping people, and you know, and she said, you know, the karma comes back, right? Karma takes care, right? So it's like, you know, I'm not pie in the sky of just like, oh well, whatever. But I really believe there's something of my refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, doing what my gurus wanted me to do, taking care. So get your self-cherishing out of the way. And they say in some of the higher Lojong teachings, Master Atisha's 59 Lojong slogans, mind training slogans. One of the famous ones is place all the blame on one. Place all the blame on one. Now, what happens is we're a culture that likes to blame. It's his fault. It's her fault. Who did this? Who did this? You know, and then we can wage war from that. Well, they invaded our country. I mean, thank you, God, that Israel and Iran of recent, okay, they needed to show a little bit of force. You know, so we're going to lob some drones over here, and then you're going to attack back, which wasn't done as strongly, and the drones weren't as, these little, but fortunately someone came to their senses not to go to full out war. We could all been at war if that's the case. It would have just been a nightmare. I mean, please, it's like, so just directing of thinking, you know, how to use that energy, and thinking of, and so place all the blame on one instead of blaming externally. What's the one? What's the one? What about us? What self-cherishing? Thank you. Self-cherishing. That's it. It's only your self-cherishing. That's the only problem. Okay. You know, you don't have a direct perception of emptiness. They're related. Self-cherishing and self-grasping. Okay. So you look at those are the first two steps. The next step is doing the exchange, exchanging oneself with others, it's called. We did that in the opening meditation, doing the exchange. So you're just, it's a mindset. You're not becoming somebody else. It's a mindset. I don't know how it worked for you in the meditation. When you looked out through the person you didn't like, your challenging person's eyes back at you. What was that like? Any comments? What was that like for you? I'm just curious. Is it helpful? Do you get a sense of what that person's experience is like? You don't know what it's like being in their mind, but what it's like, all we think about is they irritate me. Okay. Well, what if you're them looking back at you irritated? What's that like? I don't think it's fun to be in front of me when I'm irritated, frankly. So, you know, but when you're really in that, it's like, it's a struggling person, just like you, human being. And so it really kind of layers a little bit of our aggravation, our stuff. You go, wow, there's somebody just like me. You know, sometimes it's like they don't know what they're doing, just like me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the ability really to judge because I have an inaccurate perception of reality anyway. So we try, so you exchange, so it's just a matter, and you can even say, think about, we've done this before in here, what percentage of your day would you say you spend thinking about yourself? What would you say? 70?
Yeah.
Okay, you're doing pretty well. Mine's like 95, probably. 70 is pretty good. Like, good on you, Anne. But it's high, right? The amount of times devoted to ourselves, thinking about ourselves, cherishing ourselves, probably 70%. Yeah, probably. And for some, it's so all that energy. What if you borrowed half of that and directed it to others? There's an exercise for you. Do that tomorrow. You should do it for the rest of your life. But what if you just took half of that and directed it to others? Like huge space of mind. Like all of this is opening. And that's how we deal with the troubles in the world, is I'm so focused on other beings. I'm not so consumed with, and sorry, I nailed Margaret with, she turned around and I kind of so snapped at her. I didn't really snap at you, but she came around, she goes, oh, you know, there's this trial going on now. We're aware there's a trial going on in the United States. Okay, there's lots of trials going on, but then I realized like, and I was like, stop. Like, because the trials are going on, there's always things going on. And you know, I check in with the news basically once a day, sometimes in the evening as well, but you just get a check. Sometimes I'm traveling, I want to check that countries are safe or where I'm going, any big thing happen, you know, did another door fall off of a Boeing, you know, about to get on a plane, how's it going with aircraft, you know, but you see, and so then I just thought, how we were discussing how much mental energy do you want to spend on stuff like that? The news loops, as you know, all day long. It's the same news. And then the next day there'll be a couple news stories, but it's the same. So protect your mind. Spend time with your practice rather than watching the news story again of this thing. You know, in some ways, quite a waste of mental energy of what's happening, this whole charade of this kind of trial. So can you protect your mind with a little less of that, perhaps? Some of it, people might be entertained and things like that, but just, so Margaret and I were talking about that today. So think about, and then, so you're doing this exchange as the next step, and then you do tonglen meditation. Tonglen meditation that results in bodhicitta. That's the second method, this equalizing, exchanging ourselves with others. We're out of time to do the tonglen meditation, so we're going to do it this weekend. So you're going to have to come back this weekend to do the meditation. It fits right in, but it's a very profound meditation. Many of you have done it already. There's different variations of how to lead it. I think on my website, the YouTube channel, there's a lot of, I lead it in various courses and things like that. It's a beautiful meditation. I like to start with an image of myself across from me, because it's often started with all living beings, taking their suffering, giving them happiness. That's too much to start with for people. It's a lot. So I like to build up in the mind slowly. I've got a visualization of myself. Sometimes if you're really hurting and you're really having a hard time, just put yourself in front of you, you know, take the suffering. It's done with your breathing. You breathe in the suffering, doesn't harm you. It harms a knot of your selfishness at your core, okay? Diminishes that. When you diminish your selfishness, your self-cherishing, you're more spacious, happier, more blissful. I'm going to offer that as I exhale to the front visualization of myself that's struggling, and they absorb it. They breathe it in, bringing them a great sense of happiness and peace. Slowly mounted on the breath, taking and giving, taking the suffering, giving the happiness. Like that very profound meditation. And then I slowly add some beings into that visualization until I expand to think about all living beings like that. And it's just a mindset. However, I feel like it has a very positive impact on the world. If we're doing that in this room, those ripples go out from this room. And I know I've done it with people I'm working with that I was really challenged with. And when I did it with them and just visualizing that one person across from me, and when I came out to interact with them, it was always much better interacting with them. So it must have some effect. If anything, it has effect on your mind. So if you can't do a lot of Buddhist practice in this life, and you can get familiarized heavily with tonglen and doing it over, and that's what you're dying with that mind. It's really, really powerful for you. Really good mindset to think, because I'm dying anyway, if you have a slow death, cancer, something like that, an illness, and I can just think, well, I have this. What if I could take all the other people with this disease, take all that away from them? You know, let it reduce my self-cherishing. I offer them happiness, peace, incredible good health. And you just have that mindset, incredibly healing like that. So I'm going to stop there and just ask if there's any questions right now. And anybody online? Let me just see everybody online. Sorry. Oh, we have a lot of people online. Okay. And I just want to ask, it's lovely to see all of you. Is it Nana? And where are you all from? Where are you? Are you all from Florida generally? No. Where are you from, Nana? You look familiar.
That's Portugal. I'm located in Portugal.
Yeah, I thought you were from Europe. Okay, because I remember you from another. Anyway, it's lovely to see all of you. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Any questions online as well? You can put your hand up or no questions. Okay, one question. Wait, please. Uh-oh, the $1 million question.
Give the definition.
Yeah.
Just a quick definition.
A definition of emptiness. She's asked for a definition of emptiness is simply a lack of inherent existence, lack of inherent nature, a lack of a concrete, permanent existence like that. It lacks that. It's empty of that, is what emptiness means. She's got it now. I mean, it's a whole other course in a sense, emptiness, but that's technically what it really means. What if you just want a definition, lacking that. And it often goes hand in hand with dependent arising or dependent origination. So the only way things can exist is by depending on other things. They arise in dependence on other things. We never think about that. We just think there's a concrete orchid here all the time. The pot feels concrete. The table is solid, but that's not at all the way the table really exists. It's made up of parts. It's made up of causes and conditions. But we don't see things like that. Where we get into trouble is when we interact with other people and see them as solidly existing as a jerk. They don't exist like that. But serious, but what's in my mind is a seed that's causing me to experience them that way. But they don't exist at all. But then we impute this inherent jerkness on them, and then we don't like them. But they don't exist like that at all. It's a mistake. And it's just there because of fundamental ignorance in the mind, a misknowing in the mind, in that continuum of that consciousness. And we can dismantle that and study emptiness, read books on emptiness, get class time on emptiness, learn how to meditate effectively on emptiness. And I did put on that sheet you're going to get on that instructions, there is an emptiness meditation I'm leading at one of the retreats, that you guided meditation. So you can try that, but it's better to start with smaller books, read about it, get some understanding of that. Online, there's all kinds of teachings on emptiness like that, but start small, where you start understanding little by little, step by step of what they're talking about. And then you can start the meditation. It's very powerful. And that's our path to freedom with the good heart on this path. So when you want to get to the treasure chest, to the treasure, those are the two components you need, emptiness and bodhicitta. Yeah. So when we hear that, and you can have utter freedom, why aren't we practicing more? Like, you can be totally free. No more suffering, no more confusion, no more, I don't know what to do for my son. I don't know what to do for my wife. I'm really struggling with it. You won't have any of that anymore. It's available to everybody. You know, why aren't we doing more when it's there? And because you're a human and you got yourself here into this room, perfect opportunity. So something to think about, just a little bit turning up the notch on the spiritual practice, on your spiritual practice. What little bit more can you do realistically? So something that you will do something, and it'll be really worthwhile and it'll make you happier. Okay. Anything else? So we're going to stop there. We're going to dedicate, and then we're back on Saturday and Sunday. And please join, and it will be different. It's somewhat different than this, but we will do some tonglen meditation, and we have morning session Saturday and Sunday, afternoon session, and then Sunday we're going to go from like 11 to 2:30 because then the room is rented. So we're going to have a break in that session, but we're going to go straight through without a big break like that. But we will take a break like that. So you may want to bring snacks, something to eat during that break, and then you can have a bigger lunch after something. But because we don't, it was just seemed to be better to just continue like that. So let's dedicate the merit and whatever positive energy. I want to thank you all so much for coming. Whatever positive energy we've created from being here, and may we find our way to understand developing the good heart and really put these teachings into practice. Spend some time meditating on the different topics, on the different passages to develop bodhicitta, please, to invest this in our practice, in our path to enlightenment, so we can be of the most benefit to all living beings. And we're going to read on page 235, the 3 general dedication prayers. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. We're going to go to Lama Zopa Rinpoche, page 244, the long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We'll read the first paragraph, page 244. Thank you, wonderful online person. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. We're going to go back to page 234, the swift return prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. I was just waiting for her to get it online there. Yeah. Thank you. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings, through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings you suddenly departed to peace, what a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Thank you so much. I wanted to mention, if you're online, for those of you in Europe, I'm coming to Europe in May, so there will be some teachings at our Holland Center and in France at our Paris Center. So you can check in if you want to join some of the weekend retreats there. They're also online. So you can come into some sessions, especially if it works time-wise. I think some of it works for the East Coast like that. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all the hosting, and I hope to see you Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So be kind.
Thank you very much, Venerable.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you came back. And I'm sorry, I didn't have time before noon on those. Yeah.
Saturdays. And then you leave that.
I leave on Sunday. I head down to Miami Beach for the night. Yeah, so it was a short visit, but the next time maybe we can, if I have a little notice.
We can even do it on Zoom. Yeah. I know. You are.
Sure. Sure. What you might want to do is I'm maxed out like to the rest of the years, but when I come back in January, we can try next year or something. That'll be great.
Pennsylvania, were you there?
I hope to see you again.
Yes, yeah, I was there with my parents. Yeah, a long time ago, 2007. Oh, great. Yeah, I brought my parents.
One fine day. Yeah. He's got his truck or whatever they call it. Coming at 8.
Right, was she a nun? Oh, no, okay, yeah.
She was Asian, I don't remember.
Oh, great, yeah. Nice. Yeah, 'cause a number of my friends came in from California for that, and I think they interviewed me, and I ended up on the news, and one of my mother's friends saw it and said, "Hey, I did the Dalai Lama speech." It was really funny.
That was a nice place.
That was great, yeah, great. Thank you so much, lovely to see you. Are you able to come this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, fantastic. You should bring a picture of what you used to look like. If you have any pictures.
Had an afro.
Okay, okay, oh,
I'll see if I can find it.
okay, because now that comes back to me a little bit more, yeah. So,
Good to see you again. Yes.
good to see you.
My name is Stephen.
Yes, I remember.
Yes. And I didn't know if I should get you this for coming or a subscription to Cosmopolitan. So, oh my,
How sweet of you. Isn't that lovely?
That's your meditation blanket.
Thank you so much. That's lovely.
Good, or blue, which I really like.
Oh, this is fine. Thank you so
Good.
much. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoy.
Thank you. Very kind.
So are you enjoying your stay with Margaret?
Yes, very much.
Good.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Well, we'll see you this weekend.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thanks for coming. Hello, my, oh, thank you. Thanks, my
Thank
dear.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Will I see you this weekend or not able to
I
come?
don't think, so. Are you doing it Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
it starts at 11. So it's 11 to 2:30 and we'll take a break in that session, but it's going to go straight.
if I could do it.
See if you can pop in. Yeah, it'll be fun.
I just wanted to tell you with Tonglen, I was in the hospital for about 8 weeks a number of years ago, and I did Tonglen the whole time. And this sounds really weird, but I felt like the Dalai Lama was sitting next to me. It sounds really strange.
No.
But anyway, but it helps with your own suffering, you know.
Oh,
and-
totally.
In the hospital, you know, everybody's suffering.
Everybody's suffering. It's a
Yeah,
great
so
thing to
it
do.
was
And that's the
really-
thing is if you can get your mind like that, then even when you're dying, like that's where you
Yeah,
are. And
It's
it's
a
really,
wonderful practice.
it's really helpful.
But when people get nervous, when you start doing it with them, you know, because,
I mean, it depends. You don't need to,
Yeah.
that was the reason it was a secret method is it's only really for practitioners. People don't understand. Why do people go, I don't want suffering. I don't want to, well, it doesn't harm you. It's,
Yeah, I was doing meditation group at my house and I would do it with them and people really were not comfortable.
they have to be, it's a higher level practice. Yeah, so I wouldn't do it with new people generally. They need to understand what's part of the profound Lojong teaching. So
Thank you so much.
thank you. Lovely to see you.
It was
Lovely to see
wonderful.
you. Yeah,
Hope it'll be this-
great. Take care. Please take care.
Sorry, I want to tell you one. I did the same experiment you did. I was at Trader Joe's. And there were- I thought you were in Trader Joe's, right? Were you in Trader Joe's? When you did you have a talk online, talked about it the other day.
The grocery store? No, it was Giant Grocery Store.
Did the same exact guy.
Yes. I mean, the thing what was funny for me is Trader Joe's has a good training and a good employee program, and they're usually everybody there's really nice. And I'm always finding employees to help me, but this particular giant, no, never until. And so that's why it was so startling to me of like, wow, this must have come out of my retreat. That something, you know, the mind is shifting.
Your pictures in Nepal are beautiful. Did you take all those pictures?
From the village, probably a lot of them, yeah. A lot of them. I don't know, not so much, but last night I actually, oh, wait, this is still recording. I realize we're still recording. I should just see if I can.
All right.